Welcome to Extraterrestrial Reality. Before we get started, I just want to offer a correction from yesterday's show. Yesterday I showed an image from the Allagash incident from 1976, and I referred to it as the Pascagoula incident. So I just wanted to make that correction before we get started here. Anyway, today we're going to talk about gaslighting and UFOs. This is one of my biggest problems that I have when it comes to this subject, and it's one that I despise it. I despise the gaslighting that we get from the government, from government officials, from some of these debunkers who we're not sure whether or not they're just misguided souls or actually working for governments. I don't know, but I hate gaslighting. I despise it. I despise when I'm being gaslighted. That's one thing I despise more than anything when it comes to this. And I think that's probably the biggest reason why I started this podcast, because I hate being lied to. I hate being deceived. I hate being manipulated. I don't like it one bit, especially when I know what I know. Right? This is a lot of us in this who are interested in this subject understand what I'm talking about here. When we have experiences, and then people, some people might know it. Right? Some people within the government have to know it. Right? They have to know it. Right? We know this based on all the research that's been accomplished throughout the decades. We know that there's crash retrievals and reverse engineering programs. There's people testifying to this fact under oath now. So I don't like being manipulated. I don't like to see people being manipulated. For instance, like Mick West, back a few years ago, there was a hypothesis put out there that what happened at the Ariel School in Zimbabwe back in September of 1994, with relation to the 60-plus elementary school children seeing a UFO and alien creatures, what it really was, according to Mick West, and well, actually it wasn't him, it was somebody else that put forward this possibility that it was a group of traveling puppeteers that just showed up in the morning at the school and then disappeared before any teachers saw them, which was an absurd explanation. That was gaslighting. That's an explanation. That's an example, of gaslighting. And I actually received a comment from somebody recently from one of the shows. I believe it was on YouTube. Yes, it was on YouTube. And the person said that 98% of people don't understand what the word gaslighting means. Now, I don't believe that. I mean, it's used by not just me, it's used by a lot of people. I was actually using that term in that episode. And this person was stating that 98% of people don't even know what gaslighting means. I don't know. I don't think I believe that. I would have to imagine that it's most certainly more than 50% understand what gaslighting is. And if you don't understand it, you can always grab your cell phone and look it up. I mean, and find out what it means. I think everyone most likely knows what gaslighting means. But anyway, just in the event that you don't, here's an explanation that I got from Google. It says, gaslighting is a form of psychological abuse and manipulation where a person makes someone doubt their own perceptions, experiences, and sanity. The term comes from the 1944 film Gaslight. This form of abuse can include tactics like denial, trivializing, withholding information, and diverting blame to undermine the victim's confidence and reality. Now, before we go on with this, I just want to stop. Yeah, there were actually two movies made back in the 1940s, both of them called Gaslight. One was made in 1940, and then there was a Hollywood version. The first one was made in England, and then there was a Hollywood version that came out in 1944, basically telling this story that takes place in Victorian London back in the 1800s, where people used gas lights. That's what all the lighting in their homes was, for the most part, was provided by gaslighting. And this husband in this movie was trying to drive his wife insane using these manipulation and psychological abuse tactics. That's where it comes from. Anyway, let's go on with this. It says tactics used in gaslighting. It says denying facts and experiences. The abuser might deny that something happened or was said, making the victim question their memory. Trivializing feelings. The abuser may dismiss the victim's feelings, needs, and concerns as unimportant or overly sensitive. Withholding information. The abuser might pretend to have forgotten or misunderstood something to confuse the victim. Diverting and questioning reality. The abuser might change the subject or question the victim's sanity or perception of events. Coercion and discrediting. The abuser might use pressure or negative statements to erode the victim's self-worth and ability to trust themselves. And the impact on the victims According to this, it says victims of gaslighting may experience confusion, anxiety, isolation, depression, and a significant decrease in self-confidence. They can become increasingly dependent on the abuser to define reality, leading to a feeling of constant uncertainty and doubt. And the signs of gaslighting, it says, if you are a victim, you might constantly second-guess yourself, feel confused or fuzzy about your thoughts and beliefs, and frequently apologize. You may also find yourself making excuses for your partner's behavior or feeling like you are losing it. Yeah, so that's how it is. And that's what people are doing when it comes to this topic. I mean, we are most certainly not alone, right? There's the preponderance of evidence points to the reality that there is some sort of non-human intelligent presence here on Earth. But yet, there are many among us, the debunkers, particularly the government, people in the government. We hear people from the Pentagon over the decades tell us that they have no evidence of extraterrestrials or UFOs. It's all none of it's real. We've heard this. We've heard people talking to Congress about this. Last year, we had the Secretary of Energy, Jennifer Granholm, tell Congress that the Pentagon has told her that there's absolutely no proof of extraterrestrials. This could be a game of semantics as well, as we've talked about this before. That's why a lot of these bills that Congress has been introducing, like the UAP Disclosure Act, they don't say extraterrestrial, they call it non-human intelligence, non-human intelligent beings, NHI. That's why they're calling it that now, because apparently some people in Congress actually believe that the government people in the Pentagon have been using this, to their advantage. The fact that are aliens real? No, we don't have any evidence of aliens. And the reason they're able to say that, because they don't know where they're coming from. They're actually telling the truth. So now they're changing the term to NHI, right? All of this is, to me, is gaslighting. And I don't like it at all. In fact, the first time I believe I was gaslighted, the first example of it, I guess I could say this, was when I was a kid. I remember we lived in this old house at the time. And we were getting ready. We're going to be moving soon to this other house, and it was actually the house where my mom had grown up in. And I remember I was in the kitchen, and I could. There was a cupboard on the back porch, in this enclosed porch, and in the cupboard I could see that there were freeze pops in there. And I asked my mom if she could put those freeze pops in the freezer so I could have some later. And she told me that there were no freeze pops there, even though I'm looking at them with my eyes. I see them. Right, I could see the various colors, the blue, the orange, right, the cherry. I saw all of them, right? But she said they weren't there, and I for some reason I couldn't understand why she was saying that. I said, "Well, I see them." She goes, "No, there's nothing there." So I just had to accept the authoritative suggestion from my own mom at that time. I was only 3.5 years old, probably somewhere around there. And I just went on with life. Okay, she says they're not there, even though I know I'm seeing them with my own eyes, right? I don't know why she didn't want to put them in the freezer. Maybe maybe I had too much junk food that day or something. Who knows, right? And years went by. We ended up moving out of that house, and about 4 or 5 years later, they were going to knock that house down. And before they knocked it down, we went through it to see if there was anything in there that we wanted to retrieve. And I went to that back porch, and I opened up that cupboard, and those freeze pops were still there, except by now they were completely dehydrated, because apparently they were sitting there for all those years. The house wasn't heated or anything, so they froze, unfroze, froze again for several winters, right? So now there was nothing. It was just air inside inside those little plastic slips. That was it. But I was gaslighted into believing that they weren't there. Now, of course, that's really nothing here. I mean, of course, it's just, who knows? I mean, people lie to, little kids. People are lying all the time, right? When you think about it, I mean, the lies that were told when we were children. Now, if you have any little kids around the room, maybe you want to turn this podcast off right now, because I'm going to say some things here. For instance, the tooth fairy. I remember at a very young age, I was told when a tooth came out, if I put it under the pillow, the tooth fairy is going to come and give me some money. So I put the tooth under the pillow, and the tooth fairy shows up. Apparently, no, of course it wasn't a tooth fairy. There is no such thing, right? But I thought there was. I was fooled into thinking this, as we are fooled into other things too when you're a kid. For a couple of years there, I thought there was Santa Claus. And of course, you find out later on that, oh, that's not true. How could it possibly be true? As you grow older, you realize these things. Now, I don't know if these are just the way we act. I mean, we start off in life, it seems, we're being told lies right out of the gate. We're being told lies by the adults around us, and we grow up into this world where people continue to tell lies as you get older. I mean, look at all the politicians that we see all the time on a daily basis, constantly telling lies. A lot of times you spot them immediately when you see that, when you hear them saying certain things. You know, wow, that's a lie. That can't be true. No, there's another lie. That can't be true. And then the gaslighting. It's even, to me, the gaslighting takes it to another level, because they're telling you something to your face. A lot of times people will do this. They'll tell you something to your face that you know is unquestionably false, right? But they're insisting that you're wrong, even though you know for a fact that you're correct. And this is gaslighting 101. And I don't like it, and it's rampant throughout the UFO community. Actually, there's people within the UFO community itself, I believe, that resort to gaslighting. I mean, for instance, Dr. Stephen Greer, he seems to maintain these days that all these extraterrestrials / non-human intelligence, they're here for noble purposes, that they're here to help mankind. I mean, go tell that to the Allagash 4 or to Whitley Strieber or to all these other people that claim they had terrifying experiences while they were abducted. All the people that David M. Jacobs had put under hypnosis. I mean, tell that to those people. I mean, to me, that's gaslighting. I mean, you're telling those people who said they were completely, absolutely terrified during an alien abduction experience that, hey, yeah, but that can't be real because that's not true. I mean, that's gaslighting, right? That's gaslighting. And it all boils down to this, right? We've been getting gaslighted by people within the United States government, people particularly from the Pentagon, the secret control group, whoever these people are, I don't know, Majestic 12, whatever you want to call them, right? We've been getting gaslighted by these people for decades, for about 80 years now, give or take. Since at least 1947, okay? Maybe longer. We'll find out, I guess, in the future at some point. But they're going to have to tell us that they've been gaslighting us. Not just lying, right? Not just lying. They created a stigma, right, to make people feel like they'd be crazy to tell what they experienced, to go public with this kind of stuff. They helped propagate that whole thing. They're going to have to come clean about all these things, right? They're going to have to tell the truth finally. These debunkers, right? What are they going to do? How are they going to handle this when it's revealed, when it is absolutely known by all that they have been gaslighting everybody that's been paying any attention to them since they started with their lies, with their lying, with their gaslighting, with their manipulations, right? They're going to have to come clean on this. It's time to, clean the slate, actually, and stop with this, because a lot of us see right through it. But the people here's the people I'm worried about, the people that can't see through it, the people that are buying this BS. They're the ones who are going to be really mad. Let me tell you something. Hey, those people who fell for this, who fell for the lies that there's nothing to this, right? Those are the people, right? They're going to be really mad that they are being gaslighted. And what about the people that have experiences, and were told, no, it couldn't have been that. It was just a meteor that you saw. And you made them feel stupid. You made them feel like, oh man, I must be crazy or something, that I thought I saw aliens, or I thought I saw some sort of a craft that could never exist. It must have been something else because these experts told me, right? Oh, they said, hey, that's impossible. It was probably just some sort of a weather infraction, a weather occurrence or something to that effect. Ice crystals. That's all it was. There's going to be a lot of people who are going to be very mad when this all goes down. So I think it's best to get it over with and quit with the gaslighting. The Pentagon should just not comment at all. If you're going to tell any lies anymore, just don't. Just stop. If you're considering telling any more, like the New York Times recently ran an article. Richard Dolan was talking about it. I mentioned that in the previous show. They should just stop with this. Completely stop with the lying. Because you're just making it worse. You're digging a deeper hole for yourself, because a lot of us know what the truth is, right? We know, and you guys are lying. You're gaslighting all the people that subscribe to the New York Times were just gaslighted recently in that article, right? Basically telling lies about this. There's no such thing as this. Basically, that's what these articles are doing. The Wall Street Journal did the same thing. They're all of them. A lot of these mainstream outlets are doing this. They're gaslighting the public telling you, hey, no, this stuff that you're seeing, there's no way it's extraterrestrial, non-human intelligence, none of that stuff. It can't be. It's just secret programs, things like that. Don't worry about it. All that's gaslighting. Particularly, there's some people out there that realize this when they see it, right? But there's a lot of people that aren't sure. They're on the fence, right? And then some of them might have been believing it, and then they read an article like that, and they're like, well, I guess I was wrong, right? This newspaper wouldn't be telling me lies like this. But guess what, folks? They actually are. All of these mainstream outlets, for the most part, are lying. The proof is out there. That show on the History Channel, they lie on a regular basis. They've been doing this for a while now on different cases. For instance, the Turkey UFO videos. They did a show on this. They actually conceded, oh yeah, they're UFOs. But then when it comes to the alien creatures that we see inside these UFOs, right? They said, oh. There's no evidence to that, right? Even though you're looking at it with your own eyes. You see it with your own eyes. That's called gaslighting. The proof is out there, show, right? That's a gaslighting show. It gaslights people. So I just wanted to point this out. It gets me mad. I know there's a lot of other people out there that it gets you angry, right? It's just something to talk about. And I think that the people who are responsible for this, the people that are behind this, the people who are doing the gaslighting, they should be completely, absolutely ashamed. Right. For instance, just recently, the other one, what was that? Corridor Crew, gaslighting. They gaslighted. They're gaslighting their entire audience. They have almost 7 million followers, 7 million subscribers on YouTube, and they just gaslighted them. They came up with a half-baked hypothesis to explain the Compton alien, which happened earlier this year. I'm not going to get into that story again, but that's another form of gaslighting, because there were people that accepted that this is possibly an alien creature that they're seeing. Right? But then the Corridor Crew comes up and says, oh, that's just silly, basically. That's what they did, and laughed it off. Like, you basically making it appear like you have to be stupid to believe that this was an alien. We figured it out, it was a person walking, even though there was absolutely no evidence whatsoever of anybody, of a human being in that image. But let me just throw this out here to you too, right? Let's play reverse psychology on the Compton alien, right? Let's say the little person, the little thing that we see walking in that video, let's say that was a human being that you could clearly see. Let's say a little kid was walking there in the middle of the night, and the little kid claimed that it was being pushed through that side, near the side of the house on that walkway, pushed by an alien creature, right? Say that was the story here, right? And then I came on here on my show and said, here, I think this is the proof of an alien being right here that's walking this kid next to this house. And I was to say something like that. Imagine how crazy it would seem if I was to do something like that. How ridiculous it would sound if I was to point to the one little slip of evidence that these guys try to point out as possibly a human being, but I'm saying now it's an alien. Think about how stupid that would look. They're gaslighting. There's so many different so many different places out there where you're constantly getting bombarded by these lies, gaslighting lies. They're trying to make you think that you'd be stupid to think that there's non-human intelligence here. That's what they're trying to do. There's a lot of different forces are trying to push this down your throat. I just want to point that out to you. Anyway, moving on. I'm way behind on the Spotify polls. I believe I'm 10 behind. I don't know how that happened, but here we go. So I want to go all the way back to the episode Paralysis Devices and Mind Scan Abilities are key weapons that extraterrestrials use to control humans. I asked this question, were you ever paralyzed by a non-human intelligent being? 30 votes so far with 10 days left. Let's see here. 10 people, or 33.3%, say yes, while 20 people, or 66.7%, say no. I have to go with the no's. I have no recollection of ever being paralyzed by an NHI, but I know it happens because there's just way too many reports that say it happens. Too many different people have talked about this, and we talked about that in the episode, so it most certainly happens. But look at that. We got a third of the people that responded to this say they have been paralyzed by NHI, and that's a lot of people. So yes, that's something that most certainly happens, no question about it. Okay, for the next episode, George Knapp to testify during House UAP hearing. Also, woman abducted by devils in 1917 Finland. I asked this question: is everything happening in Congress with regard to UFOs part of a program to slowly alert the world to the extraterrestrial / NHI reality? 32 votes so far with 10 days left. Okay, let's see. 14 people, or 43.8%, say no, while the majority, 18 people, or 56.3%, say yes. I'm going to go with the majority on this. I think that's what is happening. I mean, I can't really... I mean, there's a lot of different people involved, and it would be somewhat of a pretty big conspiracy, I guess. But that's what it seems like. It seems like there could be people within the government, as well as people, elected officials, as well as some of these whistleblowers. It's all this effort to just keep it in the public consciousness for a while, just keep people thinking about it, because at some point they're going to have to be told the truth. And yes, I think it could be soft disclosure, just taking it one little bit at a time. Let's not get into the abductions yet. Let's not talk about cattle mutilation. Let's not talk about alien implants. Let's keep that on the back burner for now. Let's just get them believing in UFOs over the course of the next, I don't know, 5, 10, 15 years. I guess, again, it comes back down to this. These people in charge, they think most of the population of this planet is completely, absolutely stupid. That's what it seems like to me. Okay, the next episode. Extraterrestrials might be good, they might be bad, or they might be indifferent. For that one, I asked this question. As far as humans are concerned, the alien presence should be viewed as... Okay, 32 votes so far with 11 days left. How should they be viewed as? One person, or 3.1%, says they should be viewed as good. 4 people, or 12.5%, say they should be viewed as bad. 8 people, or 25%, say they should be viewed as utterly indifferent. And then the majority, 19 people, or 59.4%, say it's a mixed bag. They should be viewed as a mixed bag. I'm going to go with the mixed bag. I think it's a combination, right? I think it's a combination. I think there's probably some out there that care about us, perhaps, maybe about the planet. I think there's others out there that don't care about us at all. Maybe they're using us. Maybe we're just a source for genetic material or something to that effect. Who knows? Maybe there's some that are trying to take over the planet. I really don't know, but I think it is a mixed bag. That's where I'm going to go, because I don't. You hear a lot of. Here's when I want to say this. There are a lot of different ideas out there about this. Some researchers will tell you they think these beings are here for noble purposes. That it's all good, right? They're not here to harm us whatsoever. Okay, and then you have others who say they're here to take over the world. They're drinking the blood of our cattle. They're eating body parts. They're killing human beings. They're abducting human beings permanently in cases. See, to me, right, all of that could be true, right? All of it could be true, and that's why I'm going to go with the mixed bag, because I really don't know. But I would have to imagine there has to be different viewpoints and different aliens, and all of them, most certainly, some of them, right? Not all of them. Not all of them would have the same agenda. That's how I feel. But again, I can't prove that, and it doesn't make me right. I really don't know. For all we know, maybe they are all bad, right? Maybe they all are good. Maybe some of them are just completely indifferent. But I'm going to go with the mixed bag. Okay, for the episode Emergency Landing, what caused an alien transport to plunge into Las Vegas? I asked this question. What do you believe is a likely reason for the apparent emergency landing of an ET craft in Las Vegas in 2023? 34 votes so far with 14 days left. Okay, 1 person, or 2.9%, say ET's staged incident. That's, you never know, right? I actually talked about that in an episode last year, I believe. 3 people, or 8.8%, say military shot it down. 5 people, or 14.7%, say Global Defense Network. That's that idea that what's going on here is there's these orbs that were placed here. There's a network of devices that go into action when there's any sort of threat against the planet, and maybe that's what brought the craft down. Let's see, 6 people, or 17.6%, say other, while the majority, 19 people, or 55.9%, say craft malfunction. Yes, that's the one I think applies in this situation. I think it was craft malfunction, as I made clear in various episodes. Okay, for the episode George Knapp, military whistleblowers testified to House committee about UFOs. I asked this question: with 5 stars being the highest rating, how many stars would you give this UAP hearing? There are 47 votes so far with 15 days left. Okay, let's see. 3 people or 6.4% say one star only. 2 people or excuse me, 3 people or 6.4% say 2. And then let's see, 12 people or 25.5% say 5. 13 people or 27.7% say 3, and the majority, 16 people or 34% say 4 stars. They give it 4 stars. So that's the most people are giving it 3, 4, or 5 stars. I'm going to give it 5 stars. I thought it was the best hearing we had. So that's where I'm at with it. I thought George Knapp was spectacular in that hearing, and I also thought the whistleblowers were they had very compelling stories to tell. And I also, just one thing really quick I want to revisit. There was Chris Lato, who has a YouTube channel. He talked about that object that was flying around. He thinks it was a balloon. And I thought he made a really good presentation on that, and he might be right. That was very similar. He came to that was the video that Eric Burleson, the representative, showed during that hearing. He said it was someone leaked it to him, and it showed this object off the coast of Yemen in 2024, and it showed this object getting hit with a Hellfire missile, and then it kept on going, and these 3 other objects ejected from it, and looked like they're continuing to follow it. I thought that Chris Lato made a very good presentation on his YouTube channel where I'm leaning toward it being a balloon, but I'm still not there yet completely. Basically, it was a very similar explanation as provided by Mick West. But see, as far as I'm concerned, Mick West, he impeached himself a long time ago. You can't trust a word that guy says. I don't know how anybody does. I don't know. I just don't understand how mainstream news networks and along with others, along with some of these UFO programs, you see, like the Proof Is Out There, would bring a guy in like Mick West. You can't trust him. I mean, he's just making stuff up, and he doesn't care. I think he's drunk on his own fame or something like that. And he just likes to feel important. But sooner or later, hopefully these outlets out there will get wind of this and realize what, you can't trust this guy. How can you trust anything the guy says? Like, he had this a similar concept as Lato presented later on. But yeah, I couldn't trust Mick West. You can't trust him with anything, unfortunately. Okay, for the episode, spectacular UFO video shown at task force hearing spurs divisive debate, I asked this question: what was the object hit by a Hellfire missile off the coast of Yemen in October 2024? 34 votes so far with 17 days left. Okay, 3 people or 8.8%, or excuse me, 2 people or 5.9% say balloon. 3 people or 8.8% say military technology. 4 people or 11.8% say other, while the majority, 25 people or 73.5% say ET/NHI craft. Again, I'm just going to say this. I thought that Chris Lato did provide a very interesting explanation as to why he believes it's a balloon, right? That was shot as a target, for training purposes, right? But again, there wasn't enough evidence there. There wasn't enough video. We never saw any of the objects drop into the ocean. There was none of that. So I'm not sure. I did think Chris Lato's presentation was interesting. I'm not sure what to say at this point. I'm not going to say it's balloon. I'm leaning toward. I'm going to have to go with other, because I don't know. I think that's where I'm at right now. I don't know. I need more data on that. At first, I was thinking it could have been an ET/NHI craft, but now I'm not so sure after seeing Lato's presentation. I'm going to go with other, though, just because in other I could say, well, I don't know, because I really don't know at this point. I think we need to see the entire video, right? If at some point perhaps the Pentagon will present the entire video. This could have been a total setup. Let's just this is something I want to talk about. If it does turn out to be a balloon, and we do get a longer video at some point in the future, then Eric Burleson was set up. That's what this means. And still, what does that change? What does that tell you? It tells you that somebody was trying to make a fool out of Eric Burleson and this whole committee for the most part. That's what it was. If this turns out to be just a prosaic balloon in the end, it doesn't really change anything, right? It's just, again, it's another form of gaslighting to make you think, oh, yeah, here you go. Yeah, this is aliens. Go show them this one, Eric. Go ahead. Right? And then he shows it, and then it turns out to be a prosaic balloon. If that's the case, then that goes to show you that there are forces behind the scenes trying to ridicule this whole topic. That's what it goes to show. So no matter what, it's a win-win situation for the UFO community side, because it just goes to show you how desperate these the naysayers as well as the control group are when it comes to this. They just don't want to tell the world the truth. They just don't want to. Okay, moving on. For the episode, George Knapp dominated UFO hearing with logic and facts. I asked this question: what grade do you give George Knapp for his performance at the recent UAP Task Force hearing? 32 votes so far with 20 days left. Okay. 0 people gave him a C and 0 people gave him a D. One person, 3.1%, gave him an F. There's always one in the crowd. There's always one, isn't there? There's always a joker. We just there had to be that one person to throw out the F there. We know that that was no way, not even close to an F performance. Let's see. 9 people gave him 28, or 9 people or 28.1% gives him a B. While the majority, 22 people or 68.8%, give him an A. I give him an A too. I thought it was a very, very good performance in that hearing. Okay, moving on. For the episode, military whistleblowers testify under oath they witnessed UFOs perform extraordinary feats. I asked this question: of the 3 whistleblowers who appeared at the hearing, which one do you believe provided the most compelling testimony? 26 votes so far with 22 days left. Okay, 0 people say nobody. 0 people say Wiggins. 3 people, or 11.5%, say Nussitelli. While 4 people, or 15.4%, say Borland. And the majority, 19 people, or 73.1%, say all were good. Yeah, I'm going to go with the majority on this one. I thought all of these guys did a very good job in telling us what they experienced, and Wiggins had video evidence to go along with what happened with him. Okay, for the episode Corridor Cruise Compton Alien Debunk gets debunked, I asked this question: what % chance does the Corridor Cruise Compton Alien Debunk have of being correct? 25 votes so far with 25 days left. Okay, 0 people say 5%. 1 person, or 4%, say 10%. 5 people, or 20%, say 20%. 6 people, or 24%, say 1%. And the majority, 13 people, or 52%, say 0 chance. So the majority says 0 chance that they were correct. I actually, in that episode, I said that I'm going to give them a 1% chance. I mean, there's a possibility. I'll give them that small chance. There could be, I mean, if they were able to come up with the person who was walking by the house and have them recreate it for us somehow, maybe, but there's always that small little chance. Like that, like I've said, this Compton Alien episode, right? This whole incident, that you couldn't prove that one in a court of law. I talked about this with Scott Roeder. There's just not enough evidence there. There always is a chance it could have been something else. There's a small chance, I believe, it could have been somebody in a costume, although I can't believe that. I mean, I'm actually having some cognitive dissonance when it comes to this case. I mean, what I'm looking at when I look at that video, I'm looking at, it looks like a little alien walking there. But hey, could it be something else? There's a chance of it. But the Corridor crew did not absolutely positively debunk it like they claimed. That's the problem I had with their show. There's a small chance it could have been somebody walking with a bag or a jug. I don't see it, but there is a chance that it might have been, because we can't see what's going on for a lot of it, because it's getting all pixelated and blurry, and there's something was going on when the video first activated, when it started filming. You can't see everything. There's just not enough evidence there to prove that there was a person walking by. There just doesn't exist. So yes, I'm going to just give them that 1%. I'm not going to go with the majority, although I really want to, but I can't. If I'm going to be truthful with myself and with everyone else, I got to give them that 1%. There is a small chance it could have been somebody walking. It's just not what again, they were saying it. This absolutely debunks it. No, their debunk did not absolutely debunk it. They need to do better. Okay, and then for the most recent episode, E.T. image revealed on Colthart Pod resembles a Vegas alien, raising serious questions. I asked this question: are the beings seen in Mike Batista's 2023 cell phone footage related to the Las Vegas aliens? Okay, 13 votes so far. So this is just from yesterday, so this is a new one. 13 votes so far with 27 days left. Okay, 5 people, or 38.5%, say no, while 8 people, or 61.5%, say yes. I'm going to go with the yeses, at least for now, because there was some similarities, as I pointed out in that video. So I do go with the yeses. I mean, you can't, again, the Mike Batista video, just like the Compton Aliens video. Well, actually, the Compton Alien videos, I believe, because that went directly to the Ring camera. That video was sent off to Ring immediately when it was filmed, and then that Ring camera sent the video to Jessica Ortiz, the owner of the house. There's more evidence in favor of that case than I would say with Mike Batista's case, because he was by himself with a cell phone. It's hard to prove it. There was some guy that pointed out, said in one of the comments, he said that he believes that he filmed he created some CGI imagery and then showed it on his TV and filmed the TV. That's what he said. See, that's the problem with Batista's evidence, is it would be hard to prove in a court of law if it actually happened or not. It would be very difficult to prove. I mean, unless we need to get you would have to look at the video itself, the actual cell phone footage. You have to have the raw footage. You have to have the metadata and all that kind of stuff. You'd have to have experts look at it and make a determination. But even then, I don't think you'd be able to prove 100% that this was a real incident. Although I do believe Mike Batista, I don't think there was any reason why would you make something like this up, right? It's just that it would be hard to prove in a court of law, unlike other cases, unlike the Vegas case. You would be able to prove that one in a court of law. I'm absolutely convinced of that. Anyway, I want to say this. I want to say, I'm going to wrap it up here. I want to say thank you all for joining me today. Until next time.